morning, Mets fans, and welcome to a Saturday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and I wanted to record a video today since I didn't get to record anything after Thursday's loss, which was terrible. But I do want to talk about last night's victory and where the Mets are in the standings as April comes to a close. I don't want to dwell too much on the negatives of Thursday's loss, but I do want to talk about the fact that the Mets have now lost 3 games, started by their big stud pitchers in DeGrom and Syndergaard. They've lost the last 3 up till last night of those games started by those 2 gentlemen. And or not the last 3 of the last 4. But the bottom line with that is, and I've said this before, the Mets cannot afford to lose games started by DeGrom and Syndergaard. We're talking about probably the best 1-2 combination in all of baseball, if not the best, certainly one of the best. And with the question marks surrounding the 3, 4, and 5 spots in the Mets rotation, they cannot afford to be losing quality games, and I'm talking like up quality from DeGrom and from Syndergaard. The Mets cannot afford to be losing those games. The loss to the Nationals was sort of negated by the comeback win the next day, so you could sort of write that one off. The loss to the Braves, unacceptable. The loss to the Cardinals, unacceptable. And the issue I take with those is that the Mets beat themselves in a lot of those instances with poor defense and poor fundamental play, and it can become a problem. This will be something of a challenge for Mickey Callaway to address and to keep his team sort of on the right track as it pertains to keeping your chin up, making the right kinds of plays, making the right kinds of decisions, and that did not happen on Thursday. Some really sketchy defense behind Noah Syndergaard, and it's happened. It hasn't happened a few times, so it is a cause for concern for me, especially when the errors are being made by the shortstop, by Matt Rosario. Sorry for that little brain fart there. Rosario's too young to be making mistakes like this. He's got to have his head in the game all the time, and he seems like he gets easily distracted or lost in a moment. And I hope it is just because he's young, but man, he's got to keep his head on straight and make the plays that he needs to make. Some of the lollygag throws that he's made over to first base, just unacceptable. He's got to make those plays. So that's all I want to talk about from the Thursday loss. It was nice to see the Mets provide Jacob deGrom with both some run support and some quality bullpen work last night. deGrom, for the 3rd consecutive start, was positively stellar. He is such a delight to watch, and I've talked about Matt Harvey till I'm blue in the face, and Matt Harvey is obviously the more high profile of the two, Harvey and deGrom. But my God, is Jacob deGrom just light years better than Matt Harvey? And I'm talking even like dominant Matt Harvey. Jacob deGrom today is absolutely one of the best pitchers in baseball. And I say pitchers, and Keith addressed it last night in the broadcast. Jacob deGrom has really learned to adjust his style to the new offensive approach that all these guys are having with these uppercut swings, or uppercut swings as Keith likes to call them. By going high in the strike zone, by pitching, by elevating, Jacob deGrom looks to be, at this point in his career, a kind of guy who can pitch for the next 12 years and lose velocity on his pitches and have no impact whatsoever on how good he does on the mound. And that's a testament to a guy who's a pitcher and not a thrower. He's going to end up being one of those crafty veterans who, at the age of like 41, is still pitching. And that's going to be awesome. And I hope the majority of that is done in a Mets uniform. And as I was saying, when you compare where he is now to where Harvey was, and who's going to get the payday, quietly, Jacob deGrom has earned a six-figure contract. And I say quietly only because there's no noise surrounding Jacob deGrom. He's got to be like the ideal guy in the clubhouse. He doesn't make a fuss. There's no drama. There's no nonsense with Jacob deGrom. There's no baggage that comes along with him. And Matt Harvey, of course, got into the game last night, and in the ninth inning made us all sort of hold our breath, thinking, "Oh God, here we go again." He's just not very good, and he's not helped himself at all in his attitude and how he's approached his demotion to the bullpen. And honestly, I'd give him one more bullpen outing, and if he gives up another run, and if he continues to throw 91-mile-an-hour meatballs over the middle of the plate to major league hitters, he's going to be giving up runs, and that's what he did last night. He's got to go to AAA. He's just got to go to AAA. He's got to get away from the major leagues for a month, and he needs to clear his head. And he needs to be humbled, to quote the Iron Sheik. That needs to happen for Matt Harvey. And until I feel like if he refuses the demotion, he needs to be released. I never thought I would ever get to the point where I would say that about him, but man, that is how far down he's fallen in my eyes. And I was a fan. I can't imagine how people who didn't care for his antics feel about him now. It's like he's done himself no favors whatsoever. He's handled this situation about as poorly as you can handle something like this. And as much as I feel for him, I also feel like he's put himself in this position. And now he's got to buck up and realize that if he wants to continue to have a major league career, he's going to need to accept a demotion so that he can fix whatever it is that's ailing him. One other final comment is about the Mets offense, which continues to sort of be hit and miss, with the exception of one player. And if I were going to hand out a most valuable player for the month of April, as the month comes to a close, for me, without question, it's Asdrubal Cabrera. Asdrubal Cabrera has carried this Mets offense so far in the first month of the season. He's leading the National League in batting. He's batting like 350 something. He's coming up with clutch hits. He's played really, really good defense. I've always felt like he's had a bad rap for his defense. I've never seen him as a liability in the field. Maybe he's lost a step, but he's a smart player. He's a fantastic hitter. And amazingly, when you think about where we are with Harvey now and how pissed off we all are at him, you could sort of think back and remember when Cabrera threw a hissy fit about playing second base or playing third base, not being a shortstop. I think he sort of said, "I'm a shortstop." Not unlike the way Matt Harvey said, "But I'm a starting pitcher." The reality is that we've very easily forgotten about the hissy fit because Asdrubal Cabrera has performed. He's gone out there, and despite his childish behavior, one time, despite the childish behavior, he's gone out and performed admirably. And if Matt Harvey does the same, I guarantee we'll all forgive this. If somehow he's able to find something in himself where he can turn his season around and turn his career around, and he finishes the season out with the Mets and he does so with a bang, maybe he becomes a really valuable reliever. I don't know, whatever. But we'll forget about the nonsense so quickly because we did it with Cabrera. The MVP of April, at least as far as position players go. On the pitching side, there's no doubt it's Jacob deGrom. He should have 5 wins right now. He should be pissed that he doesn't. But again, this kind of goes back to the no drama thing that I said before. So that's going to wrap it up for today. The Mets have an odd start time tonight. I believe it's 5 o'clock. which is, again, an odd start time. But Jason Vargas will make his debut with the Mets today, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. So until Monday, when I recap today's game and tomorrow's game to close out the San Diego series, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter at Mr_Met. And as always, let's go Mets.